The way you speak shapes the way the world sees you. Every word you choose, every pause you take, every sentence you deliver either builds bridges or walls. Most people speak to fill the silence. Few speak to move hearts, change minds, and inspire action. The truth is this: success begins with your ability to communicate clearly and confidently. Your ideas, your vision, your value, they mean nothing if you cannot share them in a way people understand and respect. Speaking smart isn't about sounding clever. It's about thinking clearly. It's about connecting deeply. It's about creating influence through words that matter, words that resonate, words that stick. If you are willing to step up, refine your words, sharpen your thinking, and speak with purpose, you will not only be heard, you will be remembered. And today, we're going to show you exactly how to do that. Number one, the mindset behind smart speaking. The mindset behind E. To speak smartly and confidently, you need more than just words. It's about how you think, how you prepare, and how you connect with the people you're speaking to. It's about owning the moment, feeling comfortable in your own skin, and believing in the message you have to share. Smart speaking starts with the right mindset. It's not just about what you say, but how you say it, and more importantly, how you believe in what you're saying. A lot of people focus too much on the technical aspects of speaking, how to articulate, what words to use, what tone to hit, but they forget the most important thing: believing in yourself and in your message. If you don't believe in what you're saying, your words won't land with the same power and confidence as they could. Confidence doesn't come from memorizing the perfect lines or rehearsing in front of the mirror. It comes from truly owning your message and knowing why it matters. Think about the times you've heard someone speak and they seemed to captivate everyone in the room. What was it that drew you in? Was it the words they used, or was it their presence, their belief in what they were saying? What you saw was confidence. They spoke not because they were trying to impress anyone, but because they truly believed in their message. They were comfortable in their skin. They weren't trying to be someone else. They were simply being themselves. That's the first step to speaking smartly and confidently. You've got to believe in yourself and what you have to offer. But belief alone isn't enough. It's important to understand that communication isn't just about talking. It's about connecting with people. When you speak, you're sharing a part of yourself. You're letting people into your thoughts, your ideas, and your perspective. And to do that effectively, you have to have a mindset of connection. If you're only concerned with getting your point across, you'll miss the chance to truly connect with the people listening to you. When you're focused on the connection, the words come naturally and the confidence follows. One of the most powerful things you can do as a speaker is to develop the right mindset around your audience. Remember, people aren't judging you, they're looking for value. They're not listening for perfection, they're listening for relevance. They want to know how what you're saying will benefit them or what they can learn from your experience. So when you stand up to speak, shift your focus. Don't worry about how you look or whether you're saying everything perfectly. Focus instead on how you can add value, how you can share something that will improve the lives of the people listening to you. When you speak, think of it this way: you're not just delivering information. You're offering an opportunity for people to grow, learn, and improve. This shift in mindset will not only boost your confidence, but also make your words far more impactful. You won't just be speaking at people, you'll be speaking with them. And that's when the magic happens. That's when you start speaking smartly. When you start seeing the conversation as an opportunity to connect, not just to deliver. Now, let's talk about how this mindset shows up in your speech. If you want to speak confidently, you've got to get out of your own head. It's so easy to start worrying about how you're coming across or whether people are judging you. But if you do that, you lose the connection. The more you focus on the connection with your audience, the less you'll worry about how you're being perceived. And when that happens, your speech flows more naturally, your body language opens up, and your confidence starts to shine through. The next part of developing smart speaking is preparation. Preparation isn't just about memorizing your words or your key points. It's about organizing your thoughts clearly and understanding your message fully. If you're not clear about what you want to say, how can you expect anyone else to understand it? When you prepare, you're giving yourself the tools you need to speak with purpose and clarity. You're making sure that when you open your mouth, you've got something meaningful to say. Confidence comes from knowing you've prepared, knowing you've thought through your message, and understanding what's at stake. When you walk into a room, knowing that you've put in the effort, your confidence grows. You feel ready, you feel strong. Preparation is the foundation of confident speaking. And it doesn't just come from writing down your notes, it comes from rehearsing, reflecting, and refining. But don't just prepare what you'll say, prepare for how you'll say it. Preparation also means knowing how to handle questions, how to respond to objections, and how to deal with nervousness. It's important to anticipate what might come up so that when it does, you're not caught off guard. This kind of preparation allows you to stay calm, stay in control, and speak with even more confidence. Confidence also grows when you understand that speaking isn't just about you. It's about the people you're speaking to. People will listen to your words, yes, but they'll also be listening to how you make them feel. They'll be paying attention to the energy you bring to the room and the way you engage with them. If you stand up in front of a crowd and all you do is talk at them, they'll quickly tune out. But if you engage with them, if you make them feel like they're part of the conversation, you've got their attention. When you make people feel seen and heard, your confidence grows and your message hits home. A lot of people assume that smart speaking is about using big words or sounding like they know everything. But real confidence comes from being authentic. It's about speaking clearly and simply not complicating things with jargon or trying to impress with technical terms. People connect more when you speak their language, when you make your message easy to understand. Confidence is rooted in the ability to make things simple, to explain complex ideas in a way that anyone can grasp. So when you prepare, focus on simplicity, focus on clarity, focus on delivering a message that's easy to follow and easy to connect with. Confidence is about knowing that the people you're speaking to don't need to hear you impress them with fancy words. They need to hear something that makes sense, something that resonates with them on a personal level. And let's not forget, one of the most powerful tools at your disposal when speaking, your voice. How you say something can be just as important as what you say. The tone, the pace, the pauses, you can convey so much with the way you speak. A lot of people make the mistake of thinking that speaking fast means they'll sound more confident, but in reality, speaking too quickly makes you sound unsure. Slow down, take your time, give your words space to breathe. This shows you're in control, that you're confident in what you're saying. When you speak clearly, with purpose, and with presence, your words carry weight. People pay attention. They feel your confidence, and they feel the authority in your voice. And that authority comes from preparation and belief. When you speak with authority, you make it clear that you know what you're talking about, and that confidence helps others believe in what you're saying too. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that smart speaking is about being perfect. But the truth is, nobody's perfect. Confidence doesn't come from avoiding mistakes. It comes from being willing to make them and still move forward. So it's about showing up, doing the work, and being comfortable enough with who you are and what you have to say that you don't need to be flawless. Confidence isn't about having all the right answers. It's about being willing to share what you know, learn from the experience, and keep improving. The more you practice, the more you reflect, the better you'll become. The more you get comfortable with your message, the more confident you'll feel when speaking. Speak with the knowledge that your words have power, that what you say matters, and that your message can make a difference. When you do this, speaking smartly and confidently becomes second nature. Number 2, the power of preparation and clear thinking. To speak effectively, you must understand that preparation is key. Without it, even the most brilliant ideas can fall flat. Being prepared is the difference between simply delivering a message and delivering it with impact. People are drawn to those who appear calm, organized, and in control. When you're prepared, you don't need to rely on luck or hope things go well. Beans to beans to sapel. You know what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, and you've anticipated the questions or responses that might come your way. Preparation isn't just about memorizing your words or practicing in front of a mirror, although that can certainly help. True preparation is about organizing your thoughts clearly, developing your message so it's impactful, and making sure you're ready to address the audience's needs. Think of it this way: when you stand up to speak, you're not just filling time with words. You're delivering something valuable to your audience. They're not just there to listen. They're there to learn, to be inspired, to walk away with something they didn't know before. That's your responsibility. When you know what you want to say and why it matters, you stand a much better chance of speaking with authority and making a lasting impression. One of the biggest mistakes people make is failing to prepare for how they'll handle unexpected situations. Even the best speakers face moments of uncertainty, whether it's a tough question, an unexpected interruption, or a sudden shift in the energy of the room. The key is to stay calm, stay grounded, and know that you can handle it. The more you prepare, the better equipped you'll be to handle these moments with grace and confidence. Preparation isn't just about having the right words. It's about anticipating what might happen and being ready to adapt. When you're well prepared, you'll have a sense of control over your speech, and that control is a major confidence booster. You'll feel empowered because you know that no matter what happens, you've got the tools to navigate it. And when you feel that kind of confidence, it naturally shines through in your speaking. You'll find yourself more relaxed, more at ease, and more willing to engage with your audience. Your words won't just be delivered, they'll be delivered with conviction. Another aspect of preparation is knowing your audience. You can't just walk into any room and give the same speech to everyone. The more you understand the needs, values, and interests of your audience, the more effectively you can tailor your message to them. Preparation involves research, understanding the people you're speaking to, what challenges they're facing, and what will resonate with them. When you speak to their interests, when you make your message feel personal to them, you create an environment where they are not just listening, they're engaging. Preparation isn't just a one-time task. It's an ongoing process. Each time you speak, reflect on what went well and what you could improve. With every speech, you get better, and with every mistake, you learn. This kind of continuous reflection is a huge part of speaking confidently. It allows you to refine your delivery, adjust your message, and make small but significant improvements each time you step in front of an audience. The act of preparing is not just about refining your words, it's about preparing yourself mentally. When you walk into a speaking opportunity feeling mentally prepared, you are giving yourself the best chance to succeed. This means eliminating distractions, focusing your mind, and settling into the mindset of someone who is ready to share, ready to connect, and ready to make a difference. You should be comfortable with the material, confident in your ability to communicate it, and excited to share it with others. Preparation also includes practicing in the right environment. Rehearse your speech out loud, not just in your head. This is where you discover how your words flow, how they sound when spoken, and whether they feel natural or forced. Speaking out loud helps you to become familiar with your content and make sure it sounds conversational. When you practice, you also gain a better understanding of pacing, when to slow down, when to speed up, and when to pause for effect. These moments of silence can be just as powerful as the words you speak. Another important aspect of preparation is managing your physical presence. Confidence doesn't just come from the words you say, it also comes from how you carry yourself, your posture, your gestures, the way you move in front of your audience. All of these factors contribute to how confident you appear. If you look stiff and uncomfortable, your audience will sense that. But if you stand tall, move naturally, and maintain eye contact, you signal confidence to your listeners. Your body language is a reflection of your inner mindset. When you prepare to speak, think about how you can use your body to complement your words. Now, here's the thing. No amount of preparation will make you perfect, and that's okay. Perfection isn't the goal. The goal is to speak with purpose, clarity, and confidence. Preparation is about giving yourself the tools to succeed, but it's also about embracing the idea that mistakes happen. When you make a mistake, you don't need to panic. Just pause, regain your composure, and move forward. The more you prepare, the more capable you'll feel when you encounter an obstacle. With time, handling mistakes becomes easier, and you'll learn to recover gracefully. A good way to measure how prepared you are is to ask yourself, if something unexpected happens, am I ready? If you can answer yes, then you're truly prepared. When you're confident in your ability to respond to the unexpected, it shows in your speaking. It shows in the way you engage with the audience, the way you handle questions, and the way you maintain control of the room. Preparation is the foundation of smart speaking because it builds confidence, and confidence is what makes you stand out. Remember, preparation isn't just about practicing your lines or knowing what you're going to say. Now, it's about being ready for anything. The more you prepare, the more in control you'll feel. And that control will make all the difference when it comes to speaking with confidence. Number 3, the psychology of when it comes to speaking confidently, one of the most important skills you can develop is understanding the psychology of connection. It isn't just about talking. It's about reaching your audience in a way that makes them feel like you're speaking directly to them, addressing their needs, and creating a sense of shared understanding. Communication is a two-way street, and it's not enough just to speak your truth. You've got to connect, engage, and make people feel like they are part of the conversation. We all know that good communication goes beyond just words. It's about the emotional experience of listening to someone and feeling like they're truly present with you. When you speak with connection in mind, your words have a deeper impact. You're not just delivering a speech, you're engaging in a meaningful exchange. And that's what makes confident speaking so powerful. It's not about standing at a podium and telling people what to do. It's about inviting them into a space where they can feel seen, heard, and understood. The foundation of connection in speaking starts with empathy. When you approach your audience with empathy, you are opening the door to a deeper level of communication. You're thinking about where they are, what they're going through, and what might resonate with them. This allows you to craft your message in a way that speaks to their needs, desires, and emotions. Speaking with empathy means that your focus is less on yourself and more on the people you are speaking to. You're not concerned with impressing them. You're concerned with offering something valuable, something that will improve their lives or help them see the world differently. And let me tell you, when your audience feels that empathy, they're more likely to lean in and pay attention. They feel a sense of connection, and that connection creates trust. Trust is one of the most important elements of communication because when people trust you, they listen. When they feel understood, they open up to your message. Trust is built on the foundation of empathy, which is why it's so important to speak with a mindset of understanding rather than just a mindset of information delivery. So how does this psychology of connection show up in your speaking? It shows in the way you engage with your audience, in the way you read the room and adjust your message to meet the energy and needs of the people around you. Connection isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. It's about adapting your delivery, tone, and language to match the group you're addressing. If you're speaking to a room full of professionals, your language and tone may be more formal. But if you're speaking to a group of students or a casual gathering, your approach might be more laid back, conversational, and relatable. And the beauty of connection is that it doesn't always have to come through elaborate words or grand gestures. Sometimes it's the smallest things that make the biggest impact. A well-timed pause, a smile, or a direct glance can make your audience feel like they're part of the experience. These moments of connection build rapport, and the more rapport you build, the more confident you'll feel speaking. When people feel like they're with you, not just listening, not to you, but actively engaged with you, the connection is made, and confidence grows out of that shared experience. Another aspect of the psychology of connection is understanding nonverbal communication. It's not just what you say, but how you say it. Your body language, facial expressions, and posture play a huge role in how your message is received. In fact, research shows that a large portion of communication is nonverbal. When you stand up straight, make eye contact, and speak with intention, you convey confidence. But equally important is being able to read the room and adjust your nonverbal cues accordingly. If you notice that the audience is distracted or disengaged, you can adjust your tone, pace, or body language to draw them back in. Think of speaking as a dance. You're constantly adjusting, responding, and engaging with the audience. If they're not with you, you adjust your approach until they are. If they're hanging on your every word, you lean into that energy and keep delivering. This sense of dynamic interaction is what makes confident speaking so effective. It's not static. It's alive, fluid, and responsive. The psychology of connection also extends to how you handle feedback, both verbal and nonverbal. When you receive feedback from your audience, whether it's through body language, expressions, or direct questions, you have an opportunity to deepen the connection. If someone looks confused, you can slow down and clarify your point. If someone nods in agreement, you know you're on the right track. Being attuned to these signals allows you to make the experience more interactive and engaging, which in turn boosts your confidence. You're not just waiting for your turn to speak. You're listening to your audience, responding to their cues, and adjusting your delivery on the fly. And when you embrace this sense of connection, something magical happens. You stop focusing on yourself. You stop worrying about whether you look good or if people will judge you. You start focusing on the message and how it will resonate with the people in front of you. That shift in focus is incredibly powerful because it takes the pressure off you and places it on the value you're offering. Your confidence will soar because you're no longer concerned with impressing anyone. You're concerned with delivering something meaningful. Speaking with connection also means being authentic. People can tell when you're being genuine. They can sense if you're being real or just going through the motions. Authenticity doesn't mean you have to be perfect or have all the answers. It means being true to yourself and your message. When you speak from an authentic place, your confidence shines through. You become someone who is not just telling people what to do, but offering them something real something they can relate to, something they can learn from. And that authenticity draws people in, builds rapport, and fosters trust. When you connect with your audience, you make them feel seen and heard. And when people feel seen and heard, they're more likely to listen and engage. The psychology of connection is about creating a sense of shared experience where you and your audience are in this together. It's about making your words not just information, but an invitation to something bigger, a conversation, a learning experience, and here's the beauty of it, when you connect with your audience, it's easier to be confident. When people are engaged and present with you, you don't have to work as hard to keep their attention. Your confidence grows naturally because you're no longer speaking into the void. You're speaking to real people, and your message matters to them. Connection gives you the power to reach people in a way that feels meaningful, and when you speak with that kind of power, confidence follows naturally. This connection isn't just a one-time thing. It's something you build over time. The more you practice connecting with your audience, the more comfortable you'll become with it. And as you become more comfortable with the psychology of connection, you'll find that your confidence grows stronger. It becomes easier to speak to a room full of strangers because you've learned how to reach them, how to make them feel like they're a part of the experience. And when you can do that, your speaking becomes something more than just a performance. It becomes a conversation. And that's where true confidence lies. Number 4, the influence of voice, tone, and presence. When we talk about the power of voice, tone, and presence in communication, we're diving into one of the most impactful yet often overlooked elements of speaking confidently. The way you sound and the way you carry yourself can completely change how your message is received. You might have the best ideas in the world, but if your voice lacks conviction or your presence feels weak, those ideas won't resonate with the same impact. Your voice is a tool, a powerful tool that can make your message not just heard, but felt. Let's start with the basics, your voice. Let's start with the basics, your voice. It's not just a medium for speech, it's the vehicle that carries your message, your energy, and your emotions. The tone, volume, and pace of your voice all convey meaning far beyond the words you're saying. Think about it. Have you ever listened to someone speak and immediately felt drawn to their voice? Maybe it was calm, warm, and inviting, or perhaps it was strong, commanding, and full of energy. A good voice has the ability to hold people's attention, create an emotional connection, and deliver a message with power. Your tone is one of the most important factors in how your message is perceived. A well-controlled tone can make a huge difference in how you come across to others. If you speak too softly, people might have trouble hearing you, which can make them feel disconnected. On the other hand, if you speak too loudly or with too much force, it can come across as aggressive or off-putting. Finding the right tone means using your voice in a way that matches the message you're delivering. If you're talking about something serious, your tone should reflect the gravity of the situation. If you're sharing an exciting idea or celebrating a success, your tone should be upbeat, energetic, and engaging. The key to a powerful tone is variation. The human ear loves variety. If your voice stays at the same pitch and pace throughout your speech, people will quickly lose interest. You have to keep things dynamic. Use a varied pitch, pace, and volume to emphasize key points and to keep your audience engaged. You can lower your voice to draw people in, or raise it to emphasize a critical point. Pausing after a key statement gives your audience a moment to absorb what you've said. These shifts not only help convey the emotion behind your words, but also give your speech rhythm, which makes it easier to listen to. Now, let's talk about pace. Speaking too fast is a common mistake many people make, especially when they're nervous. When we rush through our words, we end up sounding unsure or even frantic. But when we slow down, we create space for our words to land. People are more likely to remember what you say if you give them the time to process it. This doesn't mean speaking slowly all the time. It's about finding a rhythm that suits the content. A well-timed pause can be incredibly powerful. It gives your audience a moment to digest, reflect, and anticipate what comes next. Don't be afraid to slow down, breathe, and give your audience the time they need to stay with you. And then there's the aspect of volume. While speaking too loudly can be off-putting, speaking too softly can make you sound uncertain or shy. Your volume should match the environment and the message you're delivering. If you're speaking to a large crowd, you'll need to project your voice more. If you're in a smaller, intimate setting, you can adjust to a more conversational tone. The key is to speak clearly and at a volume that ensures everyone can hear you without straining your voice or shouting. But your voice isn't just about sound. It's also about presence, the way you physically show up in the space, which presence is the power to command attention without having to demand it. It's about owning the moment, whether you're on stage or in a small meeting. Your physical presence speaks volumes before you even say a word. Think about it. When someone walks into a room with confidence, you can feel it. They don't need to say anything. Their energy fills the space. That's presence. It's a combination of your posture, your body language, and the way you carry yourself. When you stand tall, shoulders back, and make eye contact with the people in front of you, signal authority and confidence. You're telling your audience, I'm here, and I'm confident in what I have to share. This doesn't mean you need to be rigid or stiff. True presence comes from being comfortable in your body, from moving naturally and being open with your gestures. But don't hide behind your words or slouch in the corner. Own your space. When you do this, people will naturally be drawn to you. They'll listen more intently, and they'll believe in what you're saying. One of the most powerful ways to establish presence is through eye contact. When you make direct eye contact with someone, it creates a sense of trust and connection. It shows that you are present and engaged with them, not just speaking at them. It's hard to command attention if you're constantly looking at the floor, scanning your notes, or avoiding the eyes of your audience. But when you lock eyes with people, even just for a moment, it establishes a bond and it gives your words more weight. Your body language also plays a significant role in how people perceive your confidence. Think about the difference between someone who crosses their arms and looks down versus someone who keeps their arms open, stands tall, and smiles. The first person might look defensive or uncertain, while the second person radiates openness and assurance. Open, expansive body language conveys confidence, while closed-off body language sends a message of discomfort or insecurity. The way you move in the room, the way you walk, the way you gesture can either reinforce your message or undermine it. So think about the signals you're sending with your body. Make sure they're aligned with the message you're trying to deliver. Remember, confidence doesn't just come from the words you speak. It comes from the energy you bring into the room, the way you control your voice, and how you carry yourself. When you speak with authority, your audience picks up on it. They can hear it in your tone, feel it in your presence, and see it in your posture. When you're aware of how your voice and presence affect your message, you start to speak with a new level of confidence, one that goes beyond just the words you say. The most effective communicators understand the relationship between their voice, tone, and physical presence. They know that these elements work together to create a cohesive and compelling delivery. A powerful voice can carry your message far, but a confident presence makes people want to listen. If you want to speak smartly and confidently, focus on these aspects of communication. The more you work on your voice, tone, and presence, the more you'll find that your confidence grows and your ability to connect with others improves. In the end, your voice is your greatest asset. When you learn to use it with intention, when you control your tone and pace, and when you carry yourself with confidence and authority, you'll speak not just with words, but with power. You'll leave an impression, and that's the kind of speaking that leaves people thinking long after you've finished. Number 5, the skill of simple, powerful language. To speak with true confidence, it's crucial to understand the power of language. The words you use, the way you construct your sentences, and the simplicity of your message can all determine whether your audience listens, engages, or tunes out. The skill of using simple, powerful language is often underestimated, but it can be the key to unlocking effective communication. It's not about using big words or complicated phrases. It's about delivering your message clearly and concisely with just enough punch to make it memorable. First, let's talk about the importance of simplicity in your language. People often think that to sound impressive, they need to use complex vocabulary and convoluted sentences. The truth is, simplicity is often more powerful. The best communicators are the ones who can break down complex ideas into simple, understandable terms. Why? Because simplicity allows your message to be accessible to a wider audience. When you speak in a way that's clear and easy to understand, you make it easier for people to grasp your ideas and act on them. The goal of speaking isn't to confuse or overwhelm your listeners. It's to make sure they walk away with something they can use or apply in their own lives. This doesn't mean you should talk down to your audience or use overly simplistic language. Rather, it's about eliminating the fluff, the filler words and jargon that distract from your message. Instead of using a complicated word when a simple one will do, choose the word that will resonate most clearly with your audience. If you're discussing a difficult topic, break it down step by step so your listeners can follow along. Simplify the structure of your sentences, avoiding long-winded explanations. You want people to hear your main point without having to work too hard to understand it. This not only improves clarity, but also makes your message more impactful. It's also important to remember that powerful language isn't always about quantity. It's not about cramming as many ideas into your speech as possible. Sometimes less is more. When you focus on delivering a few strong points, rather than overwhelming your audience with dozens, you give your message the space it needs to land. This helps people retain what you've said. And what's more, it gives your audience time to absorb and reflect on what you've shared. But simplicity doesn't mean being dull. The trick is in making your message not only clear, but also compelling. Powerful language involves the use of precise, meaningful words that resonate emotionally with your audience. Words are not just symbols or sounds, they carry weight. They have the ability to inspire, move, and persuade. When you choose your words with care, you are creating an experience for your audience, one where they can connect with what you're saying on a deeper level. For instance, think about how you would describe a challenge. You could say, "This is a difficult situation that may cause some strain." Or you could say, "This is a test, one that will push us to our limits and show what we're made of." The second option is more direct, more vivid, and more emotionally engaging. The words you choose can shape how your audience perceives a situation, whether it's something they should fear or something they can overcome. One of the hallmarks of using powerful language is being specific. The more specific you are, the clearer your message becomes. Rather than saying, "We need to improve," say, "We need to improve our communication in the next quarter by having weekly team check-ins." This level of specificity helps your audience visualize exactly what you mean. Specific language also makes you sound more confident because it shows that you know exactly what you're talking about. It's easy to be vague. It takes skill to be specific without over-explaining. Another key element of simple, powerful language is the ability to use active voice. Active voice makes your statements more direct and engaging. For example, instead of saying, "The report was written by me," say, "I wrote the report." The second sentence is more engaging and leaves a stronger impression. Active voice creates a sense of immediacy and action. It makes your message feel more powerful because you're speaking with authority and clarity. But language isn't just about the words you choose. It's also about how you deliver them. The pace, rhythm, and pauses you incorporate into your speech can all amplify the power of your language. For instance, when you make a bold statement, don't rush through it. Pause for a moment to let the words sink in. A well-placed pause adds weight to your message. Similarly, varying your tone and pace can help emphasize key points. When you slow down, you show that what you're saying is important, and when you speed up, you create a sense of urgency or excitement. Another strategy is the use of repetition. Repeating key phrases or ideas can help drive your point home. But it's not about repeating the same sentence over and over. It's about reinforcing your core message in different ways. For example, if you want your audience to remember the importance of hard work, you might say, "Hard work leads to results." Hard work is the foundation of success. Hard work is what separates the successful from the rest. By using repetition strategically, you create a rhythm in your speech and ensure that the message sticks. One more aspect of powerful language is its ability to evoke emotion. Great communicators know how to stir emotion in their audience with their words. It's not just about giving people information, it's about making them feel something. When you can connect with people on an emotional level, they are far more likely to remember your message and act on it. Whether it's inspiring hope, instilling confidence, or challenging your audience to think differently, the emotional resonance of your words can be the difference between a forgettable speech and a life-changing one. The power of language isn't just about using big words or complex sentences. It's about being intentional with your choice of words, focusing on clarity, specificity, and emotional impact. When you speak with this kind of intention, your message has more power. You're not just passing on information, you're creating an experience, a feeling, a connection. And that's the kind of speaking that leaves a lasting impression. It's also important to remember that the language you use should reflect who you are and what you believe. Authenticity is key. When you speak with authenticity, your words carry more weight because they come from a genuine place. The more you speak from the heart, the more you'll connect with others. Powerful language doesn't just come from vocabulary, it comes from passion, belief, and a sense of purpose. Speak with conviction, and your words will resonate. Speak with sincerity, and your message will leave a mark. The beauty of powerful language is that it doesn't require a lot of frills. It's about cutting through the noise and speaking with clarity, simplicity, and purpose. When you master the skill of using simple, powerful language, you won't just speak more confidently, you'll speak in a way that makes your audience listen, act, and remember. Your words will carry weight, and your message will have the lasting impact it deserves. Number 6, the art of storytelling and metaphor. When it comes to speaking confidently, one of the most effective tools you can use is storytelling. The ability to tell a compelling story can transform a dry speech or presentation into something powerful and unforgettable. Storytelling isn't just about entertainment. It's about making a deeper connection with your audience, illustrating your ideas, and giving people something to relate to. Whether you're telling a personal story, an anecdote, or a historical example, The stories you share have the power to shape how people understand and remember your message. Think about some of the most influential speakers, leaders, and communicators. The best ones all know how to use storytelling to their advantage. Why? Because stories captivate us. They engage us on a deeper level than just facts or statistics ever could. We don't just hear stories, we feel them. A well-told story creates emotion, and emotion is what drives action. When you share a story, you're inviting your audience to experience the same journey you went on. You're not just talking about an idea, you're showing them how that idea plays out in the real world. One of the most important aspects of storytelling is relatability. People connect with stories that feel real to them, that reflect their own experiences or dreams. This is why personal stories can be so effective. They provide a window into your own life and give your audience a chance to see things from your perspective. But even if you're telling a story that's not about you directly, it's important that it feels grounded in reality. Your audience needs to see how the story applies to their own lives or to the message you're trying to communicate. Good stories are also structured. Just like any good movie or novel, a well-crafted story has a beginning, middle, and end. There's an introduction, a build-up, a climax, and a resolution. You don't need to overcomplicate it, but you do need to have a clear narrative that guides your audience through the experience. This structure makes it easier for people to follow along and stay engaged. If your story feels scattered or lacks direction, your audience will tune out. But when you create a clear storyline with moments of tension, insight, or humor, people stay connected. For example, think about how you can set the stage at the beginning of a story. Describe the situation, what was happening at the time, who was involved, and what the stakes were. Setting the scene allows your audience to feel like they're right there with you, experiencing the story firsthand. Then, as you move into the middle of the story, introduce the conflict or challenge you faced. This is the heart of the story, where the tension builds. The conflict is what keeps the audience invested in the outcome. Finally, wrap up the story with a resolution. What did you learn? How did you overcome the challenge? Or what was the result? The resolution gives your audience closure, and it ties back into your message, reinforcing the key points you want them to take away. One of the best techniques for making your stories more engaging is to add details. Think about the details that made your experience stand out. What was the environment like? How did you feel? What were the key moments that made it memorable? Details create vivid images in your audience's mind, and the more vivid the image, the stronger the emotional connection. But it's important not to overdo it. The key is to highlight the details that matter, the ones that move the story forward, or that help to illustrate the main point. Another powerful storytelling technique is when you include dialogue in your stories, it creates a sense of immediacy and makes the experience feel more real. Instead of just saying, "I was really upset," you might say, "I remember saying, I don't know if I can keep going like this." And hearing that, my mentor looked at me and said, "You're stronger than you think." This not only makes the story more engaging, but it also gives your audience insight into the emotions and dynamics of the situation. Dialogue brings your story to life, helping your audience to connect with the emotions of the moment. I say it, but the most powerful stories are those that teach a lesson. When you're telling a story, ask yourself, what do I want my audience to walk away with? Every good story has a moral or takeaway, and when you tie your lesson to the story, it reinforces the message you want to convey. For example, if you're telling a story about overcoming obstacles, the lesson could be about perseverance, resilience, or the importance of keeping a positive mindset in the face of adversity. When you weave that lesson into the story, It feels natural and impactful. It's not just a random piece of advice. It's something your audience can see demonstrated in real life. One of the challenges with storytelling, especially in a professional setting, is making sure the story remains relevant to your audience. While a personal story can be powerful, you want to make sure it aligns with the message you're trying to communicate. Think about how your story supports the bigger picture. Does it illustrate the point you're trying to make? Does it tie back to your main message? If it does, then it'll be much more effective. The goal of storytelling isn't just to entertain, it's to enhance your message, to make it more relatable, and to help your audience connect on an emotional level. As you work to develop your storytelling skills, remember that storytelling is not just about being a good performer. It's about being an authentic, genuine communicator. The best stories come from a place of honesty. When you're telling a story from your heart, when you're sharing something personal or vulnerable, it resonates with your audience in a way that no scripted performance ever could. People connect with authenticity because they can sense when you're being real. This authenticity builds trust and makes your audience more receptive to your message. When you tell stories with conviction, your confidence grows. The act of storytelling makes you more dynamic, more engaging, and more connected to your audience. You stop thinking about whether or not you're speaking well, and instead, you focus on sharing something valuable. This shift in focus, from performance to connection, helps you speak with more ease, and it helps you communicate in a way that is both natural and powerful. The art of storytelling is also about practice. Just like with any other skill, the more you practice storytelling, the better you become at it. You'll find that your stories become more compelling, more effective, and more engaging as you refine your technique. With practice, you'll learn how to structure your stories, how to choose the right details, and how to deliver them in a way that captures attention. Incorporating storytelling into your speaking is one of the most powerful ways to speak confidently, because it transforms your message from something people simply hear to something they experience. When your audience is able to feel the emotions and lessons of your story, your message sticks. And that's the ultimate goal of any communication, to create a lasting impact, to make your audience think, feel, and act in response to what you've shared. Whether you're telling a story about personal growth, overcoming a challenge, or achieving success, you have the power to inspire, teach, and motivate your audience through the stories you tell. The more you practice this skill, the more confident you'll become in your ability to communicate effectively and with impact. Number 7, continuous growth through practice and reflection. One of the most important aspects of becoming a better communicator and speaker is the understanding that growth never stops. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that once you've mastered a few key speaking skills, you're done. The truth is, continuous growth through practice and reflection is the real secret to becoming a great speaker. One who is not only confident, but who also consistently improves over time. When it comes to speaking confidently and effectively, practice is everything. You can learn all the theory in the world, but without putting it into practice, it's not going to make a difference. The more you speak, the more you hone your skills. You can start small, whether it's speaking in front of a mirror, recording yourself, or practicing in front of friends or family. The goal is to get comfortable with the act of speaking, to gain confidence in your delivery, and to start to find your own voice. Think about any skill, whether it's playing an instrument, sports, or public speaking. It's only through repetition that we refine our technique. And the same applies to communication. If you're not practicing regularly, you're not going to see the progress you want. And here's the thing about practice, it doesn't have to be perfect to be valuable. Every time you speak, you learn something new. Maybe you notice a word you use too often, Or perhaps you realize that you can speak more clearly if you pause between the sentences. These small realizations are where growth happens. The more you practice, the more you'll identify areas where you can improve. And that self-awareness is what will allow you to grow into a more powerful and confident speaker. While practice is essential, reflection is equally important. After each speaking opportunity, take some time to think about what went well and what didn't. Ask yourself questions like, what parts of my speech did people respond to most? Were there moments where I lost my audience's attention? Did I use my voice effectively? Did my body language align with the message I was trying to convey? Reflecting on your performance allows you to learn from each experience so you can apply those lessons to the next one. It's not about criticizing yourself, it's about understanding where you can grow and then taking action to improve. Reflection also involves seeking feedback from others. This could be from a colleague, a friend, or even a coach. Getting feedback is one of the most valuable ways to identify areas for improvement. Sometimes we can't see our own mistakes because we're too close to the situation. Feedback from others gives us an outside perspective that can highlight things we might miss. When you get feedback, take it with an open mind. Understand that the goal is not to judge yourself, but to get better. If someone points out that you spoke too fast in a certain part of your presentation, don't get defensive. See it as an opportunity to slow down and be more deliberate in your delivery next time. Feedback is a tool for growth, and it's something that every great communicator actively seeks out. Additionally, embrace discomfort as part of the growth process. In the beginning, speaking confidently may feel unnatural or intimidating, but that discomfort is a sign that you're pushing yourself beyond your limits. The more you step out of your comfort zone and face those fears, the more confident you'll become. As you speak more often, you'll become more comfortable with the discomfort, and eventually it will fade away. Confidence isn't about eliminating fear. It's about learning how to speak with fear and still get the message across. One of the best ways to keep growing as a speaker is to embrace new challenges. Whether it's speaking in front of larger groups, tackling new topics, or even speaking in different settings, every new challenge is an opportunity to stretch your abilities. Speaking in new environments forces you to adapt and grow. Every time you rise to a challenge, you expand your range as a communicator. You may find that you're able to speak confidently in situations you once found intimidating, or that you're able to engage with an audience in ways you hadn't considered before. Or this continuous challenge forces you to step up your game, helping you to refine your skills and build your confidence over time. And remember, growth is not linear. There will be times when you feel like you've made huge strides, and other times when you feel like you're hitting a plateau. That's natural. The key is to keep moving forward. Even when progress feels slow, keep practicing, keep reflecting, and keep seeking feedback. Those small, consistent efforts will eventually lead to big results. The goal is to build a habit of continuous growth so that speaking confidently becomes second nature to you. As you work on your speaking skills, it's also important to stay curious. The best communicators are always learning. They read books on communication, watch videos of great speakers, and seek new ways to improve. They stay curious about what makes a speaker great and continually ask themselves how they can apply those principles to their own style. A commitment to learning is what keeps you evolving. The world of communication is always changing, and there's always something new to learn. By staying curious, you remain open to new ideas, new techniques, and new ways of delivering your message more powerfully. Finally, it's easy to focus only on what's not working, but it's just as important to acknowledge what is. Every time you successfully engage an audience, every time you speak with clarity and confidence, you're making progress. Recognize those victories, no matter how small they may seem. This positive reinforcement not only boosts your confidence, but it also keeps you motivated. When you take the time to celebrate the progress you've made, you remind yourself that you're on the right track and that all your effort is paying off. Ultimately, the journey toward confident communication is one of continuous growth. The best speakers are not born with natural talent. They are made through consistent effort, practice, and reflection. They commit to the process of getting better every day, and that dedication is what separates the good from the great. You have everything you need to improve and grow as a speaker. You just have to embrace the process, put in the work, and commit to lifelong learning. The more you practice, the more you reflect, the more you challenge yourself, and the more you grow, the more confident and effective a communicator you'll become. And as you continue to develop your speaking skills, you'll find that the confidence you gain extends beyond your words. It will impact every area of your life. Keep practicing, stay reflective, and embrace growth. With every step, you'll become a more confident and powerful communicator. Keep moving forward. Your journey to confidence is just beginning.